welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. The horrific video of two women not only being paraded naked by a horde of men in Manipur, but also being assaulted and allegedly gang raped has shaken the country. The incident happened in the first week of May, but came to light only yesterday as the video went viral on social media. It has brought to focus the utter lawlessness that prevails in the state, with violence against women being used as a means of retribution in this brutal fight between two communities. While large-scale violence may have been controlled to some extent in Manipur, the fact that no action was taken on this case for over 2 months till the video came out shows that on ground there is no fear of any law agency. And the worst crimes against women are going unnoticed and even unpunished. It's an utter failure of state and centre agencies that only after the video, only one accused has been caught so far. Chief Minister Biren Singh has expressed his anger and has even asked for capital punishment of the accused, but his position has become untenable given the state of affairs. Yes, nothing will be achieved on ground by sacking the Chief Minister at this juncture, but there comes a time in politics when action has to be taken and seen to be taken. Accountability has to be set. Yes, gruesome murders and rapes used as a means of social or political violence have come to light from other states too, but lack of accountability there will not erase the questions in this case. Yes, Manipur has a long, wretched history of legacy issues, but that doesn't mean that there can be a pass given to what is happening now. Is it not time that the centre takes full control, dismisses the state government and brings to end this bloodshed and abuse of women? We'll take that question to our guests in just a bit. First, we need to ask, why the delay in action in the first place? Take a look at some of the details of this horrific case. According to the Manipur police itself, the date of the video that has come to light is May 4. That's more than 2 months ago. This incident is from Kangpokpi district, which is 43 kilometers away from capital Imphal. A zero FIR was registered against 800 to 1,000 unknown miscreants on May 18. This video went viral after over 70 days on July 19, and the Manipur police have now made their first arrest earlier this morning. The police has arrested so far just one person. Several other accused continue to remain at large, and there are about 25 men in this video. The violence that began in Manipur on April 28 has seen that the tensions continue to simmer till today. Take a look at a few of the numbers. Now, over 160 people have been killed so far in the state. More than 60,000 people have been displaced from their homes. About 5,000 arson incidents have come to light. Nearly 60,000 central forces have been deployed in the state to control the situation, but it is not fully under control. Almost 6,000 FIRs have been registered so far by the police. 181 people only have been arrested by the cops, and even out of that, 108 are already out on bail. Manipur violence and the horrific video that has come to light rocked the first day of monsoon session of Parliament today as well. Before the Parliament proceedings began, Prime Minister Modi condemned the sexual atrocities and vowed to take strict action against the culprits to spare no one. The government also agreed to have a discussion on the Manipur situation on the floor of the House. Union Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi informed the House that Home Minister Amit Shah will be giving a detailed statement. But this was not enough for the opposition. They stood firm on suspension of all other businesses and demanded the Prime Minister's presence during the discussion. They raised slogans on the floor, which eventually led to adjournment of business today. The central government has slammed the opposition leaders for disrupting Parliament proceedings. The session will again resume tomorrow at 11 a.m. and similar scenes are to be expected once again. The big debate, though, that we are focusing on, is it not time for Biren Singh to step down? Whether he needs to be shown the door or he does it of his own volition, which he almost came close to once. Is it not time that it's done? Because fundamentally, something needs to be done about the situation in Manipur. That's coming up in just a bit.
हृदय पीड़ा से भरा हुआ है, क्रोध से भरा हुआ है। मणिपुर की जो घटना सामने आई है, किसी भी सभ्य समाज के लिए ये शर्मसार करने वाली घटना है।
It is indeed a very shocking incident. I have not only talked to the DGP, I have also taken cognizance and talked to CS also.
औरतों के कपड़े उतारकर, उनके शरीर पर हर जगह हाथ लगाकर, उनको खेतों में घसीटा जा रहा है। एक 15 साल की लड़की के साथ ये हो रहा है।
Immediately after seeing the video, I asked to have mass combing operation where the suspected areas.
Prime Minister is keeping quiet. Prime Minister has to open his mouth. Honorable member. You have to suspend all other business and take up this, not half an hour.
हम मणिपुर की घटनाओं पर चर्चा करने के लिए तैयार हैं।
We want a discussion and the Prime Minister has to open his mouth. Manipur, Manipur, Manipur.
हमने सदनों में कहा कि हम चर्चा के लिए तैयार हैं, लेकिन विपक्ष चर्चा से भागना चाह रहा है।
I want to go across to the guests joining us. Anila Singh from the BJP, Swati Malik from the Congress Party are our political representatives. Bina Lakshmi Nepram, founder, director, Manipur Women Gun Survivors Network. Rami Niranjan Desai, author and columnist who focuses on the Northeast. B.L. Vora, former DGP of Manipur, and Suhas Chakma, director, Rights and Risk Analysis Group are all joining us, and I do thank you for your time. Bina Lakshmi, let me start with you. You know, the fundamental issue with what has happened is, regardless of where it is and what the situation in that state is, that fundamentally the nature of men to use women as some sort of retribution, no matter what the clashes are, no matter who the communities are and where it is happening, has once again come to light. And that's the most horrific aspect of this crime and this video, that women always become collateral in these fights and are used as a means of retribution against communities.
We have no words. We have absolutely no words at what is happening. But this is also not the first time that the bodies of women of Manipur have been used in these conflicts. Several years ago, Thangjam Manorama was shot 7 times in a private part to destroy evidence of rape. Mm-hmm. It also happened with Valley Rose in 1970s when counterinsurgency started. Women's bodies have been used repeatedly time and again for wars that the men are fighting in Manipur as well as across the Northeast. We are tired of this. We are absolutely, the whole country should hang our heads in shame at what has happened. For the last 76 days, we have tried to ensure that peace returns to Manipur, but no one has been listening to us. It took once again the tragedy of our mothers, our sisters, who were paraded naked and sexually assaulted by a mob to wake the country up. Will it take a woman's body, a woman's life to be sacrificed? Every time we need the community and the country to wake up is a question that we are asking. The government at the state and at the center have actually failed in its responsibility. The people of India have also failed in our collective responsibility to address the Manipur issue and the Northeast issue, because for the last several years, we've been asking as women's groups from the Northeast, but our voices were not listened to. Irom Sharmila fasted for 16 years to ask that this impunity that is provided to anyone, public, ordinary people, armed forces personnel, that should be stopped. And accountability as the world's largest democracy.
Yes.
This has not been followed repeatedly. And as a result today, the tragedy that we're seeing on the bodies of our women of Manipur shows that this war has gone beyond what is called that humanity has died 1 million deaths in our country. It has died 1 million deaths, and it is important that the safety and security of the Kuki-Zo women and of all women of Manipur and women across this northeast of India who has been subjected to repeated violence, this is stopped. The perpetrators should be punished, and those are responsible for letting the law and order degenerate continuously since 3rd of May, they should take responsibility and resign themselves.
I want to ask you one follow-up.
And will continue to remain vigilant over the next steps to be done by the authorities.
I want to ask you one follow-up. Yes, I know that there has been a long-standing issue in Manipur, but fundamentally on this particular conflict that started in late April, you said the governments have failed. Are you saying that they haven't done enough to try and control the situation? They may have failed to control the situation, but have they tried enough? Or you feel they haven't even done what needed to be done?
The Gujarat riots was brought down in 3 days. The Delhi riots was brought down in 11 days. Who is allowing Manipur to burn, 3.3 million people, to burn in Manipur for the last 76 days non-stop is a question that the Prime Minister of India must now reply to each and every Manipuri, to each and every community which has been affected in this conflict. It has led two communities who have never fought in the history of Manipur to kill each other. What is the level of governance which has reduced, which has made sisters against sisters, brothers against brothers, people against people do this to each other? This kind of governance is not governance. It is a slow genocide committed deliberately on the lives and the bodies of the women and men of Manipur. The government of India and the Prime Minister must hold responsibility. It must immediately stop. Get the warring parties to a peace talks, ensure that women are in these peace talks and negotiations, and get this violence to stop right now.
Okay, fair enough. I do know that there has been a committee formed by the government to kind of bring, to initiate peace talks. What is the result of that and why is that proving to be so difficult is a question I'll ask later. But Rami Niranjan Desai, I want to come to you as well. I don't want to get mired in the politics of the day because I know that this is affecting us at a plane which is not political alone, and we will not achieve much if we just harp on the politics alone. And yes, Manipur has a long history of these conflicts or the reason for this current conflict. But I want to understand from you, is there any justification that something like this happens? The police is aware. In fact, if you listen to the victims in this case, the police was the one that literally handed over these women to these culprits. Is there any justification that the state is waking up only after the video comes to light?
Good evening, Shivani. You've summed it up well. There isn't any justification. I don't think anybody can justify what we've seen. When I woke up in the morning, this was possibly one of the most horrific visuals to wake up to. Of course, I don't really support the fact that these visuals are out, because I think it takes away a certain amount of, dignity from, what humanity has come to. So, I may not be in favor of the circulation of this video or this video to come out, that too so strategically, because it's come out at a certain time that it doesn't seem that the intentions are right for this video to have come out at this point. But having said all of this, I condemn this act as any other civilized person would. But we also have to look at it in context, in societies in conflict, in violent situations. We always find that the vulnerable parties, women and children, are always impacted. I've been following this situation for a very long time, before the conflict broke out on the 3rd of May. And from at that point, I've been saying, this conflict, is between two communities. It's an ethnic conflict. It's not a communal conflict. But, conflicts like this are very, very difficult to solve. They're not that easy. Using heavy-handedness can have a backlash. Taking it too easy, can have a backlash. We've seen also civil society organizations, sometimes sadly so, women-led organizations that have led to, sort of preventing the forces to do the work that they should be doing. I don't care which community, this video is from. Of course, my heart goes out to people. But, the fact of the matter is more videos are going to come out. This is only the beginning. And I fear that this is going to bring us back to a conflict situation that, we had seen tapering down in the last, at least in the last few weeks.
Okay.
And I think this is going to rile up emotions and maybe bring us back to the point that we don't want to be back at. So this, this is the kind of situation, Shivani, I've said right from the outset. Of course, we must hold up our state government accountable. We must ask for answers. We must question those who need to be questioned. But apart from that, civil society also needs to take this responsibility. If you remember right at the outset, some of the protest banners said, we want solution before peace. That can never be the way to move forward, because, once violence starts, once conflict starts, when emotions are flaring up, it's these kind of heinous crimes, it is these kind of miscreants and criminal-minded people that are going to come in the forefront. Where did this conflict start from, it being a land right issue or it being tensions between two communities? And look, where has it reached? It's reached to us discussing the safety of women in this country. And I hang my head in shame, and, the country hangs its head in shame. But, Shivani, the people who were around these women should hang their heads in shame. And it's not just the perpetrators, but all those 25, 30 people that we saw.
No, they're all perpetrators. Anybody who's part of that mob, who's walking along these women, they're all perpetrators. And I feel that parading people naked, whether it's a man or a child or a woman, parading anyone naked must attract the same sections as sexual assault and rape. Because the intention is exactly the same. It is used as a means to shame and subvert people, and to ensure that they or the communities don't speak up. So Has Chakma wants to come in. Yes, sir.
No, I think we have to understand the basics of crimes. When there are so many people who are part of the mob, who went and attacked and picked up or snatched these women from the police custody and murdered her brother who tried to save them, please understand they are part of the criminal conspiracy. And if you understand basics of the law, then you will say that, those who are part of the criminal conspiracy are as much guilty or responsible as those who have perpetrated. So unless we have this basic, simple, fundamental facts clear, then of course we are going to be all around. And that's one of the biggest problems. See, we have to understand one thing. If the government of Manipur wanted to enforce the law and bring the situation under control, they could have done. Because you have arrested prime accused within less than 24 hours time. So if you could arrest that person now, after 24, now, you could have arrested at that point of time. I think, even in Manipur, despite the situation, despite the insurgency, civilians, if the state government and the central government had the desire to take action, and without thinking about the political implications, they could have brought the situation.
Can I ask you a counter question though, Suhasji? Before I go across to BL Vora also, who can explain to us the difficulties of controlling law and order in Manipur, especially when conflicts like this arise. Why wouldn't the government want to control it? Look at the kind of blame that both the state and the central government are getting in this case. So I am not quite understanding, why do you think they are not doing their best?
See, once the conflict started, to initiate the peace process, you required Biren Singh to go, and Biren Singh, instead of going, actually enacted an entire drama where, some women came and snatched the resignation letter. And Biren Singh at this point of time is not somebody who could be trusted by both sides, because in a way he has failed to bring the situation under control. But BJP is not willing to let him go. So that's why the whole situation you have is, there is no accountability for the chief minister. There is no accountability for the security forces who lost 4,000 arms and 500,000 ammunition. And even this morning, Prime Minister would not have spoken had the Attorney General and the Solicitor General, we are not informed by the registry of the Supreme Court that at 10:30 Chief Justice has summoned them because Supreme Court is going to
I get the point you're making, but Suhasji, before I go across to our other guests, I want to understand, what about what Rami is saying, for example? that if you need to have peace, weapons have to be put down. If there is a militarized conflict, you cannot have solution before peace. Weapons have to be put down, but they're not being put down.
But in this case, there are armed groups who are in agreement with the government of India for cessation of hostilities. They should have been kept within the premises. Immediate action should have been taken. And the second issue is the government itself, which lost 4,000 arms. Now just think about any situation where 4,000 arms are lost from the armory and 500,000 ammunition are lost. It indirectly amounted to arming the civilians.
Yes, absolutely.
So where is the question of depositing arms? You are distributing arms. Can you imagine the situation anywhere in India? 4,000 arms will be snatched from the security forces.
No, it is an appalling situation, but I'm just trying to understand.
Absolutely.
That intention, I'm sure, is to control this. I'll go across to Rami and the Bina Lakshmi in just a bit, but let me bring in Mr. B.L. Vora as well. Sir, what do you think is the problem here? Why is the state and the central forces seemingly so unsuccessful and failing in controlling the situation to the extent that for 70 days plus, nobody acted on this gruesome crime against women?
So I think the police has been overwhelmed. There are divisions within the police along the community lines. Weapons which we are talking of have been looted. No, most of them have been handed over by the officers of the concerned communities to their own people. There has been lack of willpower. Political direction has been missing. I think if you say from day one, right from political class to bureaucratic to police to security forces, everyone has failed in the process. Now, the point here is, about this particular case, let me ask you. These women were rescued by the police and they were being taken to the police station when they were again taken away by the crowd or whatever. So police knew that day, the case should have been registered that day. Some people should have been arrested. It hasn't been done. No, but the point is simply this. What is to be done? I think that is to, if you ask me today, it's more important.
Yes.
Law and order has to be brought under control immediately. Justice has to be given. Now we can have CBI takeover cases or court-monitored CBI cases, whatever it takes. Border has to be taken care of, the international border, long border, you know, with the Myanmar that we are having. Getting the weapons back, I think this is very important. And now, the Home Minister had gone there 3 days. Something has been laid down. The most important is communities must sit across the table, talk, and let the peace come. Let me tell you, I've served in Manipur for over a decade in different roles as a DIG, IG, DG, even Home Secretary. Now, the communities were against the government always. There were Methi insurgent groups, there were Naga insurgent groups. Cookies, of course, didn't have then. But within the communities, there was never that much of hatred or communal discord that we are having today. Now, those divisions are so deep.
Yes.
Now, today we are disrobing women. And incidents have taken place on both sides. And I think that they are getting away with it because no action is being taken.
No, I think what you're saying about even the law enforcement agencies.
One more point.
Yes, go ahead.
Shivani. I think officers must be taken from outside to man important positions because the local officers who are there, they have community loyalties. And there are many who have served in Manipur for long in different capacities. Their advice should be taken. But I think it's getting delayed. And on the face of it, things may seem better, but it's becoming worse. And don't forget international interference. China, Myanmar, I'm sure they're taking advantage of this position. And we are in for bad times if we don't act quickly.
No, I think what you're talking about, the community being divided right down the middle to the extent that even those who hail from the state and are part of the state machinery are acting in a partisan manner. That in itself has become very clear for many days. And I hope that everybody can come together that if the government needs to do, as we are saying, possibly dismiss the state government, get its act together via the army and the central government, then everyone should support regardless of the harshest measures that need to be taken. Because again, if that was to be done, there will be collateral damage. Are we prepared for that? That is one question we need to ask ourselves. But let me bring in Swati. Sir, let me bring in Swati Malik and Anila Singh, who've not spoken. Anila Singh, this is the fundamental problem with what has happened. Both your state government and central government are the same party or the same coalition. And yet you don't seem to be in control of the situation. You can't blame anybody else for this. On top of that, the highest, the highest authorities are not speaking on this subject. But for today, what has happened because of this video? And the situation is not getting any better. Now you tell me, who is to be held responsible and accountable in this case, if not the state chief minister and the home minister?
My Ramnam to everyone. And when you say that the top authorities were not talking on it, Prime Minister came out today and he has given his statement. And I think we should stand with the statement and the sentiments which had been expressed by the Honorable Prime Minister of our country. And if we talk about the Home Minister himself had stationed in Manipur. Each and every step which is being taken in Manipur is in the knowledge of the central government. 355 has been implied there. Yes, state government is proactive, but if I talk about this incident, I mean, since 2 days, this video is viral, in which they say, if you don't take off your clothes, we will kill you. Imagine, forcibly paraded, publicly molested, and allegedly gang raped. It is hard to fathom what the survivors of this deranged crime are going through. And as a woman, I am ashamed. It is horrendous. It is obnoxious. But as a spokesperson of Bharatiya Janata Party, when you ask me, has the government of Manipur failed? Has the central government failed? Then I will say one thing here, they are trying their level best.
No, in this case, Anila ji, I am sorry I'm having to press you, because accountability is absolutely required. In this case, like I said, what is the justification that the police did not act for 2 months? They knew this happened. It happened in front of them.
You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct when you ask question on police. Yes, police is responsible. Absolutely, you're absolutely correct. And they should be punished for that. And the state government of the Manipur, they should act immediately.
But they're not. What are they waiting for?
Allow me, ma'am, please allow me. I've just completed 5 seconds when you asked me this question. I just want to say that whenever government authorities are involved, there is a small procedure that will be completed, and the hardest of punishment will be given to those policemen. Absolutely, and they should be punished for it. Every time why women are being targeted. कोई भी युग चला जाता है, यहाँ पर द्रौपदी को वहां पर कौरवों की सभा में उसका चीरहरण होता है, सीता को अग्नि परीक्षा देनी पड़ती है. We are living in 21st century and we have to see this scene. As a woman, I am ashamed. I'm totally ashamed. But I respect my Prime Minister when he says that women from anywhere, from any state, from any city, from any village, they should be respected, and respective government, they should assure the safety and the security of the women.
Okay. On that note, can I go across to Swati Malik also? Swati, outrage over this video is justified, and of course it is across all sides. But what explains the fact that opposition wakes up when crimes against women happen in BJP-ruled states? When they happen in Congress-ruled states or non-BJP-ruled states, you stay mum. For example, the biggest charge against the Congress would be, you're not speaking about Rajasthan horrors, you're not speaking about horrors in Chhattisgarh, you're not speaking about Bengal. In Bengal, 39 rape cases have been registered by the CBI after their own fact-finding. Just because there's no video, it doesn't matter? Are principles not the same?
Shivani, thank you for having this debate and asking this very fair question. And I'm sure many of your viewers are thinking the same, why does the opposition only come for BJP ruled states? But let me just, clarify one bit out here, that this is the Manipur Congress has not started talking now. We have been talking about Manipur since the time it began. Since last 3 months, almost 3 months, we have been raising this issue, and we have been requesting our Prime Minister to kindly just say a few words for the people of Manipur. We have been giving statements. Mr. Rahul Gandhi even went to Manipur to meet those people. So it is not just because of this video that the Congress
Fair
is
enough,
raising
but
this
what
issue.
about other states?
I will come to it. I will come to it. Well, another thing is, today the Prime Minister spoke. Of course, he spoke, and he spoke. His emotions are same as all of us. We are all angry. We are all angry, and we are all disappointed with what's happened in Manipur. But out of those 8 minutes, he only spoke about it for 38 seconds today because of this videos, which lots of us have not even had the courage to watch. We've not. Many of us have not watched the. We only seen those pictures somewhere. But so that also the Prime Minister spoke now. Ms. Smriti Irani, our Women Development Minister, has been silent on Manipur. And on this issue also, she spoke last evening when there was a hue and cry created by social media. How does the BJP explain the fact that the Chief Minister, the sitting Chief Minister, says that when he watched the video, he has taken action? Did he not know about it?
No, fair enough. And all of those questions, Swati, have been asked. The government will be responsible, will be asked those questions. But I want to understand, do you not have a government in Rajasthan? Does Mamata Banerjee not have a government in Bengal? Do those governments have no accountability? Every woman is important, right?
Yes, there is accountability. And when you talk about Rajasthan, 4 days ago, when that unfortunate incident with the lady happened there, those 3 people have been arrested. The governments are not silent. It is the silence which is deafening in Manipur. It is the silence which is causing this, our conscience to be screaming and shouting because we want the government to say something.
Anila ji, please respond to that. That's the fundamental question I asked you. Why were authorities silent for so long? Please respond to that. I'll go across to our other guests for final comments.
See, Shivani, if you say that the government is silent, was silent, that is absolutely incorrect. Again, I'm going to say whether we talk about the central government or the state government, both the governments are proactive.
When did the Prime Minister talk about this before today? When did the Prime Minister say?
And I want to make 3 quick points. Shivani, I just want to make 3 quick points here. Number one, we must understand the chronology, what has happened and what is happening in Manipur. It is a visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji to USA, and we start seeing crime and violence erupting in Manipur. It was the verdict in High Court. It could have been challenged in Supreme Court, but instead of that, we start seeing violence there. Now, a day before when the Parliament has to start, we see that this video comes out and it becomes viral. Just see the chronology of it. And then all the political parties in INDIA alliance, they start saying, "Arey, Pradhan Mantri to kuch kahi nahi rahe."
Nahi, Anila ji, can I just come in? I don't want to get into this. I don't want to get into this. Anila ji, please, with respect. With respect, let me come in, please.
Last point I want to make here. In March 2023, APSA was removed from Manipur. Okay. So ask all those political parties, organizations, and the people who had been forcing and raising voice that APSA should be removed from Manipur, and the government removed. Now see what has happened. Are they going to take any sort of responsibility?
Okay, I get your point. It's a complex issue and not all of the blame can be put at the government. But can I just say that I have no doubt that politics will be played on this issue. That is the nature of politics. But had the video come out today and had the Chief Minister been able to say that, listen, this is an old case, we had acted then, these brutes are actually in police custody, you wouldn't have appeared to have been not in control of the situation. The tragedy is that the arrests have started happening today after the video has come to light. That's my limited point. Okay, I go across to our panel for their final comments as well. Yes, Bina Lakshmi, you've been wanting to come in.
Yes, absolutely. We have to remember beyond the politics. We have said this from day one since the violence erupted, that this is a conflict engineered by people who are close to political power, guns, and drugs. This, and it is also, as one of our panelists said, it has got cross-border linkages. So and that's why the entire 3.3 million people of Manipur are saying that if Manipur, the balkanization of Manipur will lead to balkanization of India's northeast, and it can severely hurt India's national security interests. So this situation should not be seen between two political parties fight, but for 3.3 million people of Manipur, it is to ensure that no one breaks up the state and no one breaks up that region. This is something that I want all panelists to understand how serious the issue is. And yes, the tragedy of what happened to our sisters, the perpetrators must be punished. The mob violence must stop in Manipur right now. And those who have failed to protect this, they must take moral responsibility and resign. Secondly, the communalization of our armed forces, the communalization of those, both police and the military, which has been meant to protect the citizens, they must not be seen on partisan lines. Third, that women must stand united. Please do stop blaming the mothers of any community. Do not, if some women have done mistakes, some men have taken mistakes, do not blame everyone, but ensure that those who have perpetrated this violence, men, women, anyone, they must be brought to justice. And finally, women's bodies should not be used as sites of war. This must stop. And there are 17 peace talks happening in northeast of India. Government of India has only listened to men with guns. There are 60 armed groups in Manipur operating till now. There are 34 ethnic groups. The arming of our ethnic groups must stop. Men in arms do not decide our future in Manipur or elsewhere. And the government of India must ensure the inclusion of Manipuri women, women of northeast of India, and women of this country to in any peace talk and negotiation.
No, men with guns don't want a solution.
Yeah.
They don't want a solution. They want the perpetuation of that violence, and therefore it's important to talk to others too. I am not going to act like an expert in this case and suggest what the government should do. I'm sure they have the best minds they can employ. Mr. Vora, a minute to you as well for some final comments.
I think number one, some heads must roll.
Yes.
Two, the police should be restructured with outsiders more than the insiders. Three, justice must be given where the crimes have taken place, whether it's CBI or court-monitored probe, with a fast track. Weapons must be taken back, border must be taken care of, and most important is communities should be made to sit down and talk of peace and have peace. I think that is indeed a hour. Hearts, have been divided, which was never the case in Manipur.
Those hearts
and,
need to be mended.
Broken hearts is the most difficult task, but it must get priority.
Yes. Rami?
Thank you.
Shivani, my limited point here is that, these sort of ethnic differences in violence has happened before. It's happened with the Kukis and the Nagas, the Kukis and the Paitis, and one has overcome it. One has somehow made bridges over the fault lines. And I think that is what we should be looking towards. This is a very complex situation. One of the panelists said that the weapons that have been looted must be surrendered. Sir, with all due respect, it's not just the weapons that were looted, because those were old rusted weapons. There are weapons that are also coming in from across the border, which we've seen are highly automatic, specialized weapons, you know. So there has to be a complete whole sort of approach towards this situation, and I think finally civil society will have to step up. I have spoken to civil society from both ends, and there is this resistance to go into dialogue, and that's not going to help. Solution is not going to come after peace. Peace will have to come before solution. And I think, as we prepare ourselves for more such leakages of videos and horrific events, I think we as communities have to realize that it is our responsibility to hand over these perpetrators. They cannot hide or they cannot take shelter unless there is support from the ground. So as a gesture of goodwill, they should be handed over to and finally, I think, Shivani, it's very important. It's very important for us to realize that in the long term, police reforms will have to be made.
Absolutely. Sir, final comments from you as well. Mr. Chakma, I have a minute, sir. What would you like the government to do?
Well, I think the first thing which the government has to do is to make sure that there is somebody who could be accepted by both the communities. And at this point of time, I don't think Biren Singh is the person who could have the trust about the communities. So the central government has to come in. That's one aspect. The second aspect is we do not know whether they are rusted weapons or sophisticated weapons. As far as the reports of the police, they are AK-47 and all other sophisticated weapons. I think I had said earlier that we are underestimating the problem. Just because the problems of the other communities or other riots are resolved doesn't mean that this will be resolved. I think we are seeing today in Manipur what we had seen in former Yugoslavia in 1990s, as well as Rwanda and Burundi. The communities are completely separated. And if we are to protect the border, we have to remember one thing. See, we are importing the problems of Myanmar into India. And you cannot address those issues unless you have a holistic perspective on the entire relationship with Myanmar.
Okay.
So I say that, first the head has its role, and it has to start with the chief minister himself, because he cannot build peace.
All right. That's a fair question to ask on a day like today. I do thank all of our guests for joining us and for this very much needed debate. Let's wait and see what action the central government is able to take. I have to slip into a very short break. On the other side, since we're talking about crimes against women and how most of them are left fighting for justice, an exclusive chat with the cast and crew of the film Ajmer 92. This is a film based on the horror of serial rape cases of Ajmer from 1992. Stay tuned.
Kind of horrors that have played out in Manipur over the last few months, and this is a compilation that we've been able to do based on various news reports. What we're understanding now is over 160 people have lost their lives or have been killed in Manipur over the last few months. We're also understanding over 60,000 people have also been displaced because of the unrest that continues in Manipur. 50,000 plus lodged in about 349 relief camps, as I pointed out, what essentially started as clashes between two ethnic groups. This is the kind of turn it has now taken. Nearly 5,000 arson incidents have also been reported just in the last few months. 5,995 FIRs have been registered so far over these multiple episodes. Over 180 arrests have been made, and this is data available till the 4th of July. What we're also understanding is out of these people, over 100 have already gotten bail, and the data again dates back to about 4th of July. 124 para-convoys have been deployed on the ground to try and contain the situation, to try and restore normalcy in Manipur. 184 army columns have also been stationed, as I pointed out, to ensure that no untoward incident takes place. We're also understanding there are 60,000 central security forces that have been posted as well. Despite all of this, episodes like these still continue. And we here at CNN News 18, in fact, have accessed those first images of that only arrest that has been made of a man who's now been identified as Hira Das, and those images on your screens as well. But as I pointed out, what is extremely shocking is the sequence of events and how slow the action has been. Let's first bring in our colleague and senior editor Pallavi Ghosh, who is joining us on the broadcast. So Pallavi, the episode happened on the 4th of May. Video comes to light on the 19th of July. Within 24 hours, an arrest is made. It's already been over 2 months. We've accessed the first images of the man who's been arrested, now identified as Hira Das. What more do we know about the man who's been arrested?
Well, he's just the one who leaded the pack. If you in fact look at the video which was leaked out last night, he was the one who was right at the front, and he was the one who was groping one of the two women who are believed to have been abused. And that's the main reason why he's been called the chief culprit. It is also believed that he's the person who could have masterminded or organized the entire strategy, because now more or less the agencies are convinced that it was a kind of a coordinated strategy, and therefore it was not just an impromptu mob which actually surrounded these two women, for example. That's really the critical factor. There are a couple of questions which certainly come up. Or can this be seen as an intelligence failure of the state government, that they were not able to be aware of this incident till that video surfaced? So what kind of a hands-on situation are they having? And that's where he's coming for a bit of criticism as far as opposition parties go. But having said that, what is it that the state agencies and the central government agencies are doing? Well, they are working in a coordinated manner. Ever since this footage came out, we are being told by our government sources that the nodal ministries, the Home Ministry, the Prime Minister's office, in coordination with the state government, is trying to track down all those people who were a part of that mob. And with his first arrest, they feel that there is a breakthrough, because they're going to use him, they're going to interrogate him, and also to try and get the addresses and the whereabouts of the others who were a part of that mob frenzy.
Yeah. Pallavi, we'll have to leave that conversation there. Thanks a lot for getting us those details. One arrest has been made, but the arrest has come too late in the day. Let's just break down the details of what are the kind of horrors that have played out over the last few months in Manipur. Let's first break down the sequence of events for you to understand the story better. This episode, the video that you must have seen, actually dates back to the 4th of May, when two women were paraded naked as a backlash of the clashes that continued between these two groups. It was only on the 18th of May when any action was actually taken and FIR was registered. But what was even more shocking in the FIR was the language that was used. It mentioned it was against unknown armed miscreants, despite the fact that the men were extremely evident and visible as far as this entire episode is concerned. But only on the 19th of July, that was yesterday, is when this video has finally surfaced, which means 2 months have already passed since this episode happened, and now one arrest has finally happened. On the 20th of July, some heads have rolled, and one arrest of a man, we just put out those images, who's now been identified as Hira Das, stands arrested. Authorities on the ground saying we're confident of arresting the others as well. Now let's talk to you in detail about what does the FIR say. As I pointed out, there was already a delay in filing the FIR itself because the episode happened on the 4th of May. The FIR was filed only on the 18th. What did it say? It said 3 women abducted from police custody by a mob. We're understanding the mob was anywhere between 1,000 to 1,500 people. Women abducted just 2 kilometers away from a police station. Many questions being raised as far as the inaction and the lack of intent by police officials and other authorities on the ground. 3 women then are forcibly stripped naked in front of the mob. Many testimonies now coming to light indicating of what the victims had to go through. They were threatened, either you strip or there will be dire repercussions and consequences. Many of their family members being attacked as well. A younger woman's brutally gang raped in broad daylight. Her family members, as I pointed out, being targeted as well. Victim's father and brother killed on the spot. So the question is, if all of this happened just about 2.5 kilometers away from a police station, what resulted in the police authorities doing absolute revolution?
I'm joined by the team of upcoming movie Ajmer 92, which is based on the horrific cases of serial rapes of young women in Ajmer from 1992. Pushpendra, Sumit and Karan, the maker and the actors of the movie, are joining us. Pushpendra, let me begin by asking you, there's been a series of movies in India on topics that were otherwise not spoken of. But there is also an accusation coming in that, filmmakers and directors are picking certain controversial topics which focus on one community, as in this case would be the allegation against you as well. So let me just begin by settling that issue. Why did you choose this topic, and why do you think was the fact that more such movies are getting made like Kashmir Files or Hure played any role in that, in picking this issue?
No, actually, it's not a propaganda film. It's not a political films. It's just एक ऐसी सच्चाई जो कि लोगों को नहीं पता है, because nobody knows about this truth. So मैं चाहता हूँ कि ये सच्चाई लोगों तक पहुँचे. That's why I made this film. Otherwise, I have no. मुझे कुछ ऐसा नहीं था कि मैं फिल्म बनाऊंगा, प्रोपोगेंडा होगा और पॉलिटिकल एंगल बनेंगे, कम्युनिटी को टारगेट करेंगे. नॉट लाइक दैट. इट्स जस्ट अ पेन अबाउट दैट दीज गर्ल्स जिनके साथ ये हुआ, वो रेप एंड जो उन्होंने दैट टाइम को क्या डिफिकल्टीज फेस करनी पड़ी फॉर जस्टिस. स्टिल सम वुमेन आर फाइटिंग फॉर जस्टिस. सो लोग फिल्म देखें और उनके सपोर्ट में खड़े हों और उनको जस्टिस मिले. यही मेरा एक एम था इस फिल्म को बनाने का. ये सबसे बड़ी सच्चाई है कि इसके बारे में किसी को नहीं पता है, और ये कोई छोटी बात नहीं है. ये बात सच है कि रेप चाहे किसी एक लड़की का हो या 250 लड़कियों का, गलत तो गलत है, बट किसी को पता ही नहीं इसके बारे में. लोगों को पता चलना चाहिए. जब मुझे पता चला तो मेरा पहला थॉट यही था कि लोगों को इस बारे में पता चलना चाहिए कि हमारे देश में वाकई इतना बड़ा स्कैंडल हुआ है. इट्स अ बिग स्कैंडल. ठीक है, nobody know about this scandal. So क्यों ना हम लोगों को बताएं कि ऐसी फिल्म मतलब ऐसी बातें हुई हैं। एंड सेकंड थिंग कि उन लड़कियों को जस्टिस मिले जो इसके लिए स्टिल फाइट कर रही है।
जी सुमित, आपसे मैं पूछना चाहती हूँ, ये बहुत वुमेन सेंट्रिक मूवी है और वुमेन क्राइम्स को हाईलाइट करती है, और ऐसा क्राइम जो ऑलमोस्ट अनइमेजिनेबल है कि इतनी सारी लड़कियों का ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम रेप होता है, सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट होता है। और इस केस की बहुत एक बहुत ही ज्यादा हॉरिफिक जो डिटेल ये है कि एजेंसीज, लॉ इन्फोर्समेंट एजेंसीज, पुलिस, सबको पता था कि ये चीज हो रही है और उनकी जानकारी के बिना हो भी नहीं सकता इतने टाइम तक। तो आप क्या मानती हैं कि क्या सोसाइटी में ऐसी स्टोरीज के बारे में ओपनली बात करने से लोग अभी भी डरते हैं? क्योंकि जैसे मैंने पहले पूछा कि किसी एक कम्युनिटी को टारगेट किया जा रहा है, ऐसा ना लगे।
जैसा कि सर ने बोला, मुझे भी नहीं पता था जब मुझे पता चला इस बारे में, तो और मेरी फ्रेंड्स फैमिली किसी को भी नहीं पता था इस बारे में कि 1990 क्या हुआ था, क्योंकि लोग इस बारे में बात करना पसंद ही नहीं करते, बात ही नहीं करते हैं इस बारे में। दबा के रखी गई हैं चीजों को जो कि बाहर आनी चाहिए, और हमारे देश को पता होना चाहिए कि 1992 में क्या हुआ था और क्या चल रहा था, 86 से चल रहा था, तो उन सबको पता होना चाहिए इस बारे में।
करण एंड सुमित, मैं आप दोनों से पूछना चाहती हूँ, एज एक्टर्स इस तरह की स्टोरी के लिए आपने कुछ रिसर्च करी होगी, बैकग्राउंडर समझा होगा, तो आपको इस केस के बारे में अगर आप एज अ मूवी अगर आप टीज करें दर्शकों को, तो क्या वो चीज है जो आपको लगता है कि सबसे ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है इस स्टोरी की, जो आपको पता चली एज पार्ट ऑफ दिस मूवी और जो आप दर्शकों को भी दिखाना चाहते हो?
करते समय तो इतना पता था कि 250 लड़कियों के साथ ऐसा ऐसा हुआ है और ये जस्टिस उनको मिला नहीं है। बट ड्यूरिंग द टाइम ये पता चला कि पूरे अजमेर ने वो चीजें फेस करी है और वहाँ लड़कियों के साथ साथ वो फैमिली भी स्ट्रगल कर रही थी, सभी फैमिली वो स्ट्रगल कर रही थी जिनके साथ ये हो रहा था। कुछ पावरफुल लोग थे लेकिन वो भी कुछ नहीं कर पा रहे थे इस केस को लेके, क्योंकि उनको एज यू नो डेट कि कहाँ से सपोर्ट था, ये तभी आज तक इसकी कोई बात नहीं करता है। तो यही सब कुछ हमें ड्यूरिंग द शूट पता चला कि बहुत बड़ी चीज है जो अजमेर में चल रही है और लड़कियां बैक टू बैक सुसाइड कर रही हैं। और जब उन्होंने कंप्लेंट करी तो आई थिंक कुछ 28 to 30 फैमिली रातों रात गायब कर दी गई थी उनके स्टेटमेंट से पहले कोर्ट में जब उनको बुलाया गया था।
एक्चुअली मतलब बहुत से ऐसे इंसिडेंट्स उस टाइम पे जो हुए थे, बिकॉज आई थिंक 7 to 10 years हिंदू लड़कियों की शादी नहीं हुई है अजमेर में। ये बात भी लोगों को नहीं पता।
तो आपने कितना टाइम तक इसको रिसर्च किया, किस तरह से किया, क्या लोग खुल के आपके पास आए अपनी स्टोरीज बताने के लिए?
मुझे 2 साल का टाइम लगा। जब मैंने फर्स्ट टाइम, जब मेरे फ्रेंड हैं रिपोर्टर हैं, तो उन्होंने मुझे इस इंसिडेंट्स के बारे में बताया, देन उसके बाद मेरा 2 साल का पूरा रिसर्च रहा इसके ऊपर। एंड एक कैरेक्टर तो एक पत्रकार जिसने वो डेयरिंग थी उसके अंदर उस टाइम पे, बहुत सी चीजें प्रॉब्लम उसने भी फेस की। एंड फिर ऐसी लड़कियां, अब सबसे बड़ी डिफिकल्टीज और मतलब जब वो लड़कियां फाइट नहीं कर पा रही हैं जिनके पेरेंट्स हाई सोसाइटी, जब मतलब कोई लेफ्टिनेंट कर्नल था एंड कोई आईपीएस ऑफिसर है, कोई डॉक्टर है, कोई इंजीनियर है। अभी आप समझो ऐसी फैमिली की लड़कियां फाइट नहीं कर पा रही, तो फिर एक नॉर्मल फैमिली की लड़कियां कहाँ जाके फाइट करें? तो वो दैट टाइम वो कितने पावरफुल रहे होंगे वो लोग जिन्होंने ये किया। तो ये सब चीजों को पूरा रिसर्च करके और बहुत ही ध्यान में रखा गया है कि फिल्म को कोई भी कम्युनिटी एंगल ना दिया जाए, बिकॉज इट्स बेस्ड ऑन जस्टिस, पेन एंड जो लड़कियों ने उस टाइम पे प्रॉब्लम्स फेस किए उस पे।
आई वांट टू से वन थिंग कि पावर सिस्टम ठीक है, मैंने पर्सनली क्या फील किया वो किरदार निभाते वक्त कि जिन लड़कियों का रेप हुआ था वो एक्चुअली दे वर नॉट लिविंग, दे वर सफोकेटिंग। कुछ सफोकेट होके सुसाइड कर लिया, कुछ जी रही थी, लेकिन आज भी वो तो ट्रॉमा है ना उनके दिमाग में, तो उनका तो पर्सपेक्टिव ही चेंज हो गया लाइफ को देखने। तो आई पर्सनली फेल्ट देयर पेन, देयर इमोशन कि घुट रही हैं। तो और उनकी फैमिलीज ने सपोर्ट नहीं किया, किसी ने किया किसी ने नहीं किया, तो मैंने उनके दर्द को महसूस किया है। और मुझे पर्सनली लगता है कि उनको जस्टिस मिलना चाहिए ताकि ये चीजें रिपीट भी ना हो.
Absolutely. I think it's important to highlight such cases predominantly because it can help in ensuring that it doesn't happen again. But Pushpendra, I want to come back to the question I began with. Was it hard for you to make this movie because of the subject? क्या आपको difficulty face करनी पड़ी? क्या लोगों ने आपको ये भी recommend किया कि मत बनाइए? या because आजकल ऐसी movies बनने लगी हैं उसकी वजह से आपको लगता है कि your subject was also accepted without any problems?
नहीं, एक्चुअली डिफिकल्टीज आती है बिकॉज सबसे फर्स्ट तो प्रोड्यूसर्स जल्दी एग्री नहीं करते दिस काइंड ऑफ मूवी के लिए बिकॉज कि कल को क्या होगा, इन्वेस्टमेंट का रिटर्न आएगा नहीं आएगा, एंड देन प्रोड्यूसर को कन्विंस करना एंड फिर एक्टर को कन्विंस करना बिकॉज एक्टर को भी अपना एक रेपुटेशन और एक ये है कि कल को मतलब हम ये कैरेक्टर प्ले करेंगे तो लोग हमारे बारे में क्या सोचेंगे, एंड देन उनको कन्विंस किया एंड फाइनली शूट स्टार्ट किया. देन आफ्टर शूट मतलब ड्यूरिंग शूट अजमेर में प्रॉब्लम्स आई कि पहले तो मैंने वहां डिस्कस किया, लोगों से पूछा तो सबने बोला कि हमें आइडिया नहीं है कि ऐसा कुछ हुआ था, एंड सुसाइड सीन शूट कर रहा था. तो उस टाइम पे पूरा अजमेर में हो गया कि ये अजमेर कांटू फिल्म बन रही, एंड देन उस टाइम पे प्रशासन सपोर्ट नहीं किया, परमिशन कैंसिल कर दी गई. कुछ लोगों का कहना था कि भाई किसी को आप हीरो नहीं बनाओगे, जो एक्चुअल घटना है वही दिखाओगे. कुछ लोगों का ये फिल्म बननी नहीं चाहिए, एंड बहुत सारी डिफिकल्टीज आई ड्यूरिंग शूट भी, एंड देन फाइनली फिर आई हैव शॉट इन एमपी चौधरी, ठीक है, होल फिल्म. एंड उसके बाद भी लोगों को ये था कि ये फिल्म लोग पसंद नहीं करेंगे. तो मैंने बोला कि कोई बात नहीं, मैं अपनी बात लोगों तक रखूंगा इस फिल्म के जरिए, और लोग फिल्म को देखें, बाकी उनके ऊपर डिपेंड करता है पसंद करना ना करना. एंड एक चीज आपको और बताऊंगा कि ये फिल्म एक्चुअली मतलब मैंने स्टार्ट जब किया था बिफोर कश्मीर फाइल एंड बिफोर केरला स्टोरी, दैट टाइम तो ये कोई फिल्मों का नाम और कुछ भी जिक्र भी नहीं था, कोई डिस्कशन भी किसी की जुबान पे नहीं था कि ऐसी कोई फिल्म है. तो मैंने इसको रिटर्न और मतलब डायरेक्ट किया था, उस फिल्म को मैंने शूट किया.
करण, आपसे भी मैं पूछना चाहती हूँ, क्या आपको कोई डर है, जैसे पुष्पेंद्र कह रहे हैं कि एक्टर्स को भी डर होता है ऐसे रोल प्ले करने में, ऐसी स्टोरीज का हिस्सा बनने में, कहीं आप टाइप कास्ट ना हो जाएं?
यस मैम, अभी भी है, क्योंकि मैंने तो एज एन एक्टर मूवी में काम किया है और सोच हमेशा से क्लियर रही थी कि मैं एज एन एक्टर एक मूवी पे काम कर रहा हूँ. और जब भी पुष्पेंद्र से बात हुई है तो प्रोपेगेंडा और रिलीजन को लेके हमने कुछ ऐसा सोचा नहीं. बट क्या होता है कि जब इसका पोस्टर आया तो भी लोग बोल ही रहे थे इसके खिलाफ, बहुत से लोग थे कि आनी नहीं चाहिए और ऐसा हो रहा था, तो वो अभी भी है.
ओके, पुष्पेंद्र, माय फाइनल क्वेश्चन टू यू, आपको कोई डर है कि रिलीज से पहले या रिलीज के बाद कोई दिक्कत आ सकती है बिकॉज ऑफ द सब्जेक्ट एंड द सेंसिटिविटी ऑफ द सब्जेक्ट इन दिस केस? क्या आपको कोई डर है? क्योंकि हमने देखा है कि कुछ मूवीज के ऊपर प्रोटेस्ट भी हुए हैं, मूवीज को उतार भी दिया है थिएटर से, अभी एक मूवी के सर्टिफिकेशन पे भी इशू हुआ है, आपको कोई डर है?
डर तो है, डर इस बात का नहीं है कि मूवी उतारेंगे या कुछ ऐसा, बाकी दूसरी चीजों का है डर की इश्यूज बना के और ये इस तरह से प्रोटेस्ट करना बिना मतलब, जिसका कोई वो नहीं है. बट ठीक है, उसका भी जवाब है हमारे पास, उसका जवाब हम देंगे कि कोई गलत चीज हमने बनाई नहीं, गलत दिखाया नहीं. तो आई थिंक, हालांकि मुझे जहां तक लगता है फिल्म देखने के बाद शायद लोग इस तरह से रिएक्ट ना करें जो बाकी फिल्मों के लिए कर रहे थे.
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching The Right Stand here on CNN News 18 with me, Poonam Burde. Since yesterday, one video has sent shivers down the spine of an entire nation. A video so grotesque, so deviant that it has given nightmares to many. It will lift your belief from humanity itself. You would think, how can any human being heap such depravity on another? It would shake you to the core of your soul when you see that video.